I like to call this our Discipleship Pipeline. It's a helpful tool for thinking through how do we help people who are not yet followers of Jesus become fully engaged followers of Jesus who are making disciples. First, we need to ask, who has God sent us to? Who is our mission field? And for us, that would be our city. But to try and think of reaching an entire city is overwhelming. How are we going to do that? That's insane. Thankfully, God has given us neighbors, people in our lives who don't yet know Jesus. That can be your coworkers, that could be classmates, that could be people on your sports team. And for many of us, it's our actual physical neighbors, the people who live near us. Jesus calls us to love our neighbors, and we know that building relationships is an important part of sharing our faith. So we don't want these people to remain neighbors, we want them to become friends. And how do you become friends with someone? Well, you have to spend time with them, investing in that relationship. But we don't want them to just stay our friend. We want them to become a part of our family, meaning our church family, which means that they should be able to feel like they belong before they ever believe. And how are they going to join our family? Well, someone has to invite them, whether that's to a large group gathering or a small group gathering. Someone has to invite them to join a family gathering. And while they're gathered with the church family, we're going to share the good news about Jesus and invite them to trust Him as their Lord and Savior. When they do that, when they cross the line of faith, they become what the Bible calls a spiritual baby. And they need a lot of care and attention. They need to learn who God is and learn what it means to follow Him. But we don't want them to stay a baby that's unable to care for itself. We want them to grow into a child of faith who knows how to feed themselves, someone who knows how to read the Bible for themselves, who knows how to pray for themselves, who gets connected to a group of Christians who can help them grow in their faith. Because we want them to grow into a spiritual adult. Now, the biggest difference between children and adults is that children can only think of themselves, and adults are able to think about others. So we want to teach spiritual children how to serve others, how to look to others before they look to themselves. We want to teach them how to share their faith, invite their friends to become family, to learn how to share the good news with family members so that they might cross the line of faith and become followers of Jesus. And we want them to learn how to pass on the basics of the faith and the spiritual disciplines to those who are new to following Jesus. And because Jesus commands all of His followers to not only be disciples, but to make disciples, there's one more stop on the discipleship pipeline, and that is to become a spiritual parent. And what that means is taking responsibility for someone else's spiritual development, where you say, their growth as a follower of Jesus is partly my responsibility. And the hope is that a spiritual parent would be able to help anyone at any stage in this process to take the next step towards Jesus. They would know how to make friends with neighbors who don't know Jesus, would know how to invite them to become family, would know how to share the good news with them so that they can cross the line of faith and become a baby in Jesus, to help a baby become a spiritual child and help that spiritual child grow into adulthood, and finally teach that spiritual adult how to become a spiritual parent themselves. Now, in real life, people don't fit this neatly into categories, but this can be a helpful tool for thinking about where we are at in our journey of faith and how we can help others become disciples who are making disciples.